Hi, it's Mark from TLR. I'm here with Bernie Pawlik, Pawlik Automotive in Vancouver. We're talking cars. How you doing, Bernie?
Doing very well.
So today's story, 2011 BMW 328i. What was the story on this BMW?
So it came to us, the engine was running rough, the check engine light was on and needed some repairs.
What diagnosis and testing did you proceed with?
So from there, first step, of course, is to hook our scan tool up, see what stored trouble codes are in the system. I found a couple of lean condition codes, and it was very evident the engine was quite rough. So next step, of course, pop the hood, do a visual inspection, see if we could see anything obvious that was causing it. Nothing was noticeable. So our next step, one of our pieces of diagnostic equipment is a smoke machine. And what it does is under very low pressure, I think about a half PSI, it'll generate half PSI pressure and it generates smoke. And also the smoke has a bit of a UV dye in it, which is kind of cool. You can use for tracing as well. But essentially we hook that into the intake system and turn it on, and it pumps smoke through the intake system. So if there's any vacuum leaks or any leaks of any sort, we can find them. And lo and behold, we found a huge leak coming from where the PCV pipes connect into the intake manifold, kind of buried low down in the engine, a little hard to see, but we're able to, get some flashlights in there and see it, and found the PCV connector was damaged and causing an enormous vacuum leak.
Okay, so that was a big jump. Like, why wouldn't you have looked at other things that might cause rough running first? What led you to the smoke machine that there might be a vacuum problem? Is that common with rough running? Like, what led you there first?
It is, especially with the code. This is where the trouble codes are useful. Now, people think, oh yeah, just plug the computer in, it'll tell me what's wrong with it. Well, no, it doesn't. It just says that there's a code that the vehicle can't adjust the fuel mixture. Essentially, the interpretation is the engine's too lean. There's too much air getting in for the amount of fuel that the injection system can deliver. So there's the problem. So this is where we have to use our brains and our experience and our other equipment to figure out what exactly it is. The computer does not tell you that it's this particular piece. It would make our lives a lot easier if it did. But, just as a little aside story, I often thought it'd be great if they put a fuel injection pressure sensor, because often fuel pumps will fail on vehicles. I thought, wouldn't it be great if they had that sensor that would tell you that the fuel pump had failed? Well, some vehicles actually have that because they actually regulate the fuel pressure in the vehicle. Well, that's actually one of the common failure items on those particular, not a BMW, but other vehicles. The sensors actually fail on these vehicles and they cause more problems than the vehicles that don't have them. So I thought, well, that's interesting, how sometimes you can over monitor stuff. Anyways, I kind of went off a bit there. But anyways, the smoke machine, once we determine, okay, it's a vacuum leak, there's probably too much air. Smoke machine's a great tool because we can verify right there, is it because of too much air? Because there could be other things like maybe the mass airflow sensor is reading incorrectly. But if we can verify and visually see that there's no smoke coming out from anywhere, then we know there's no vacuum leak. So that's why the smoke machine's a great tool.
And how often do you end up using a smoke machine for testing?
We use it quite often. I mean, I'd say like out of 100 diagnostics, maybe 20% of the time we'll use it. If it's something with a vacuum type of leak, we'll use it. It's also useful for exhaust systems. If we can't quite determine a leak, or there's maybe a pinhole of some sort, we can pump the smoke through there. There's a number of things this thing's useful for, especially evap system leaks. It can be like a very tiny little leak coming from somewhere. So very good for finding little minute leaks.
So what was involved in repairing this PCV hose connector?
So we had to remove the intake manifold. And our intention wasn't to take it entirely out of the vehicle, because it was actually, if we could swing it out of the way, we could take the screws off and unbolt it. That was our original intention. However, the job ended up turning out to be a little more involved. And I'll get in some pictures and we'll have a look. So that is the intake manifold of the BMW off the car. So eventually we had to take it off, because if you can see, this is where our PCV connector was, and you can see a lot of kind of roughness there. This manifold is made of plastic and it was melted here. Now, normally there's no heat around this area that would cause it to melt, but this particular part here has a heater in it for the PCV system, an electric heater, and it basically must have short circuited and melted. This is our melted PCV heater. You can see a very large hole here. That's where our vacuum leak was. This part is what bolts into the intake manifold. As you can see, it's very deformed, and why it would have melted the manifold. And the PCV hose connects here as well as here. It's like a double PCV hose. So it sucks on this part and this heated section as well. So that hose was replaced also. This is what the new heater unit looks like. You can also see there's an electrical connector there. Everything is in pretty good order on this piece. It gives you a better idea what the piece looks like. And a close-up of our melted area. We ordered the heater first because we figured that's what we needed. But as we looked further and struggled to get this thing out, we realized the manifold, would definitely not have sealed with that new piece in there. We would have had another vacuum leak. So the manifold had to be replaced as well.
Okay. Did you have to get a brand new manifold?
We were able to get a used one from an auto wrecker. I mean, this is a part that really doesn't fail. It's a good used part to buy. There's nothing mechanical inside. It's just a piece of molded plastic. And as long as this thing wasn't burnt or there wasn't anything cracked or broken, because of course in a wrecker, in an accident, if the car got hit hard enough and a plastic manifold could get cracked, I've seen that happen. But as long as it's good and solid, it's as good as brand new, essentially.
What else did you have to replace or repair along with the manifold and the PCV?
Yeah, so we did the PCV pipe. I didn't show a picture of that, but basically it's a pipe that connects to the two sections of the manifold, loops around and connects up to the back of the engine to the rest of the crankcase breather system. Also, the electrical connector to the PCV heater was completely melted and disintegrated. So we had to acquire that. And the only place we could find that was from an auto wrecker. It wasn't available new from BMW. Sometimes they sell these things. You can buy the connector and then the little wiring bits inside, and you can put them together. But electrical connectors are a little dicey. A lot of them are highly specialized. They'll only fit in one spot. They're only built one way. So we managed to get a good used one from the auto wrecker and soldered and, put that in real nice.
So remind us again, what does the PCV valve do? And then why would it need a heater?
Good question on both. Okay, so first of all, the PCV stands for positive crankcase ventilation. So the V is not actually double, because sometimes it is. It's a positive crankcase ventilation valve. What it does is it basically takes the blow-by gases from the crankcase. When an internal combustion engine is running, some of the explosion that happens in the pistons, it can't be contained fully by the piston rings. It'll blow past into the crankcase. And so those gases, which are highly noxious, are the most horrific pollutants the engine puts out. They basically capture it instead of it going out into the environment. It's captured in a closed system, goes through a pipe, goes back into the intake manifold, and sucked in and reburnt. Why they use a heater, I don't know. But some vehicles do have them. It may be just to prevent the oil vapors from condensing in a cold engine. That's what I'm kind of assuming is what it is. And I should do my homework before I do this podcast, but I didn't. Sometimes I don't dig as deep as maybe I should, but I go, it's there for a reason. I figure no car manufacturer ever puts anything on a car for no reason, because it all costs money to make. So they're all committed to doing it the cheapest way they can. So there's got to be a reason. But I'd say it probably prevents the vapors from condensing as they get sucked into the intake manifold on a cold engine.
And how did the car run after repair?
Really good. Yeah, ran fantastic. Like a brand new BMW. Smooth and no check engine light. And it was nice to find this issue because, so often we do diagnostics on things where we can't see what it is. We have to kind of interpret things and go, okay, well, I think that's what it is, and give an estimate for $1,000 and it works in the end. But it's like, it's always a little hairy. But this is nice when you can go, hey, the smoke machine, there's the leak right there. There's the problem. It's 100% found and verified. So it was a nice repair story.
And is this a common issue with BMW 328 series vehicles?
Not that I know of. We work in a lot of BMWs. It's the first time we've ever seen this happen. It's common in a lot of other different BMWs. The auto wrecker, when I brought the sample manifold out, the guy who pulled out of the car goes, wow, this is weird. I've never seen this before. So to me, that's an interesting indication that it's not an entirely common occurrence, but may happen from time to time.
And how are these BMWs, the 320 series, I guess, how are they for reliability?
Well, they're okay. We do a lot of podcasts on them. I just like to say, if you own one of these cars, they're nice, but you'll do a lot of repairs over time. I think, as we said, this isn't the most common thing you'll come up with, but electric water pump failures are common. Oil leaks are common. So, they need good maintenance. That's kind of the key. A lot of people don't maintain them well. The factory maintenance schedule on BMWs, in my opinion, is really bad. The oil change intervals are like 25,000 kilometers, which is way too long. You should be doing it at, 12 or maybe even less. If you do it more frequently with good oil, you're going to get a lot more life out of your engine for sure. If you're buying a used one and it's been dealer serviced, it may not be the best service that could have been done. I mean, at least it's been done, but if it's been done more frequently, that'd be better.
So if you've got a BMW in Vancouver and you want to maintain it, you want it running a little bit more trouble-free, you want it maintained so that you can go in and start it up and it goes, even in the cold winter and the rain. Guys, to see your Pawlik Automotive, you can reach them to book your appointment, 604-327-7112, or you can book online, pawlikautomotive.com. They'll check out what you think the problem is or what's actually going on and be ready for when you show up to get your car fixed. So it's done right the first time. Of course, check out our YouTube channel, Pawlik Auto Repair. There's hundreds of videos, all makes and models and types of repairs on there. We've been doing this for 9 years. And thank you so much for watching and listening. We really appreciate it. Thank you, Bernie.
Thank you, Mark. Thanks for watching.